welcome back to the 3 Show and Happy New Year. We're excited to kick off 2025 with an action-packed weekend, but before we jump into things, let's take a look at last weekend's games in addition to the games played on New Year's Eve. Kicking things off with one series from the Central, St. Louis had an impressive weekend, picking up 3 out of 4 points against the first-place Power. Game 1 ended in the Junior Blues' favor as they defeated West Bend by a final score of 3-2 in overtime. The star of not only the game but the week was 06 forward Mason Andrew, who netted 2 goals including the game winner in overtime. Despite the shootout loss on Saturday, the St. Louis native delivered another strong performance, recording 3 points on the score sheet during regulation in addition to the Junior Blues' 2 lone goals during the shootout. In the West, the Warhawks extended their win streak to 5 after defeating the Wilderness to close out 2024. First-year forward Aiden Callanan was absolutely lights out, recording his first hat trick of the season. Of his 3 goals, 2 were scored during the first 20 minutes, while the final goal of the contest, including the game winner, came at the 16:57 mark of the second period. With these critical 2 points, Willmar is now tied with Mason City for 3rd place in the division with 30 points and has been moving in the right direction, building off of their recent momentum. Finishing up our recaps, in the Frontier, the Americans capped off the calendar year with a demanding 7-0 victory over the Irish. 5 players on the Great Falls roster were able to tally 2 or more points, including Zach Orwig and Garen Navarez, who each recorded 4 points on the night. Orwig dished out 4 assists, a pair in both the second and third periods. Meanwhile, Navarez scored a pair of goals and notched 2 assists for his third 2-goal contest of the season. And with that, let's jump into the exciting weekend ahead as all 5 divisions will be back in action. Starting out east, the Mountain Kings and Sea Captains will face off for a home-and-home series, a critical 2 games in terms of the division standings. Currently, Norwich sits in 3rd place with 32 points, while New Hampshire resides in 4th, just a few points shy with 29. With their series being tied up at 2 wins apiece, a possible weekend sweep for either team could be a huge momentum swing and switch in the standings as we head into the second half of the season. If we take a look back at their last meeting on December 11th, New Hampshire came away with a 5-3 victory as 3 players on the Mountain Kings roster had a multi-point game. In the Central, Rochester and Wausau will battle things out yet again for the second consecutive weekend. Last weekend's matchups were nothing short of exciting, as both Friday and Saturday's games were decided in a shootout. Players to keep an eye out on include Landon Bechtel and Jake Garrow for the Cyclones, and Ben Parent along with Josh Wolf for the Grizzlies. This weekend's 4 points could switch things up in the Central, as teams 2 through 4 sit within 2 points of one another, Wausau being in 3rd with 39 points, and Rochester being in 4th with 38 points. Let's see if we will be needing extra time for this series, or if these set of games will be decided in regulation. Meanwhile, in the Frontier, Badlands will travel to Helena to take on the Bighorns for their second series of the season. During their October meeting, the Bighorns swept the home team. However, it is worth noting that Game 2 was quite the thriller, as the Sabres came up just short of completing a comeback victory after being down 5-1 entering the 3rd period. They rallied to score 4 goals in the final frame to end the game with the final score of 6-5. With both teams needing to rally and get back in the win column, this series should be a fun one at Steed Arena, and it will be interesting to see who kicks off 2025 on the right foot. Down south, the lone series of the weekend will take place in El Paso as the Ice Bats travel across Texas to take on the Rhinos. This will be these 2 organizations' first meeting of the season, as Austin is currently the 4th place team in the division, while El Paso sits 10 points behind in 6th. When looking at special teams across the league, the Ice Bats have had quite the year thus far, with the 4th best PK in the NA3, going hand in hand with the 2nd most shorthanded goals by any team in the league with a total of 11. Will the Ice Bats keep their recent success rolling, or will the Rhinos stun the visitors? Last but not least, in the West, on Friday night, fans are in for a treat as the 2 hottest teams in the division face off as the Warhawks will host the Moose for their 5th meeting of the year. As we mentioned earlier, Willmar has been on fire as they are riding a 5-game win streak, but the Moose have had quite an impressive last 10 games, going 8-1-1, and are currently riding a 4-game win streak of their own. When taking a look at their previous meetups, Peyton Reuter and his Willmar squad have won 3 out of 4 games, but with the new acquisitions for the Moose and outstanding goaltending in December's Goalie of the Month Dylan Posh, this game will keep fans on the edge of their seats and will be a great contest to watch. As always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The 3 Show and joining us back here again in 2025. Be sure to watch all the action live on NATV and follow along the live stats and scores on our website. We'll see you next week.